Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited to chat with you. We're going to do a live Q&A today. If you guys don't know, every single Tuesday, it's usually myself, sometimes, occasionally someone from my team, but we go live here at the Virtual Savvy. And sometimes it's us talking with students. Sometimes it's us teaching on a particular topic or bringing in a guest. And a lot of times we just go live and do these Q&A times. And I'm not going to lie, these are some of my favorite times just to do Q&A time because they're a little bit more casual and it's just a chance for us to talk and for you guys to pick my brain about anything in the world related to virtual assistants. I guess you could ask me about non-related virtual assistants things too, but for you guys just to pick my brain and to ask questions as you're building your business, because I know that there are a lot of factors that come in when you are starting a new business, when you're becoming a virtual assistant, whenever you're choosing your pricing and packaging and starting to market and all of the things. So I love doing these Q&A times, and we will just go through and I will answer, any and all questions that you have. So go ahead and just start out and let me know that you're here in the comments and let me know where you're joining me from. It's so cool because we literally have VAs and aspiring VAs all over the world. And so it's always fun to see where you guys are actually joining me from. So, and then at the same time, let's go ahead and get some questions going, right? So whatever questions that you have for me about building your business, about virtual assistants, go ahead and start dropping those in the comments and I will go through and answer them. Before we jump in, I do want to remind you guys that tomorrow I am doing a free webinar training. This is, it's essentially the webinar we did last Friday. We did this webinar and it was amazing. We had hundreds of people show up for it, but we only kept the webinar up for the weekend. In fact, Facebook was being weird and they took it down before we even took it down. It just disappeared. It wasn't like we did anything wrong. It just went away, which was really interesting. But, so we're doing another one. So if you missed last Friday's webinar, or if you just wanted to come hang out with us again, tomorrow at 11 a.m. or 8 p.m. Central Time, we'll be doing this webinar, and it is Virtual Assistants, the Ultimate Crash Course. It's a 60-minute training. We're going to go into pricing, packaging, the best places to find clients. You're going to see my blueprint for how to start your business. It's going to be a really fun time. So feel free to come and join us tomorrow. 11 a.m. or 8 p.m. Central Times are the two times to catch those webinars. Okay. And last thing, and then we'll just go ahead and jump into that Q&A time. If you guys don't already know, you guys are like, Abby, we know you've sent like 1,000 emails. But our Savvy system is open for enrollment. So essentially this is our training course. We only open it 2 times a year, January and July, and the Savvy system is open. We have had hundreds of students come in over the past week, and it's just been so amazing just to already see the momentum that is happening inside of our Savvies group. People deciding, yes, 2021 is my year. It's the year that I'm going to launch and grow my business. So if you've decided that this is your year and you want a step-by-step blueprint for launching, growing, scaling your virtual assistant business, lifetime access to the course and community, just go to savvysystem.com or thesavvysystem.com. Either one works. And we would love to have you as a part of the program. The doors do close this Friday at 10 p.m. Central Time, and they will not open again in July. And for the first time ever, we are doing a price increase as well. So we've had the same price for 5 years, and we've added so much more material, so much more support. Our original members are still getting all the updates. And so we have decided to do a price increase. So this is literally the last time to get the Savvy system at its current pricing. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump into our live Q&A time. Go ahead and just drop your questions in the comments below. If and let's just do this. Let's just have a time to hang out and see what questions you have for me. Okay. I'm so sore right now, by the way. I started 2 weeks ago. I started working with like a weightlifting coach. She's like an ex bodybuilder and all this stuff. And I am so freaking sore. I go to her 3 days a week and we lift weights and it's super fun. But man, talk about trying something that you've never done before and that you don't feel prepared for. Yep, that's me with with learning how to weightlift, but it's been really fun and I'm excited to get strong. But if you just see me like every once in a while, that's why. It's because I'm beat up right now. But it's a good, hurts so good, right? Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and start answering questions. What's a good Facebook ads course? Awesome question, Jessica. The place that I would start would be inside of our Savvy Vault, right? We have an awesome Facebook ads course right there inside of Savvy Vault. I would go ahead and check that out first. Two other courses that are really, really good outside of ours. I like to tell you guys all the options. So you guys can, what's cool about Savvy Vault is you not only get access to the Facebook ads course, but you get access to over 50 other tech trainings for your virtual assistant business. That's at savvyvault.com. The other two programs that I really like, one is by Beth Ann Schwarmberger by Brilliant Business Moms. She has an amazing, so she actually does these 6-week intensives that are really good. I've also heard good things about, which I haven't personally taken them, but Rick Mulready's course and Claire Pelletreau. They both have really good courses as well that I've heard. So yeah, let's see here. Do you have to have a license in every state in our country since we are virtually? So whenever you are establishing your business, you are establishing your business where you live. So you need to follow the state, county, country requirements for where you live in particular. If you're in the US, one of the best places to find out what are your state and local requirements is SCORE. It's called score.org. And you can go and you can get like these free business mentors. Now, don't ask them how to build a virtual assistant business. They don't know that. Half of them don't even know what a virtual assistant is, but they will be able to tell you the requirements for what you need to work with a home office where you live. Since we're providing services, you don't need to worry about like sales tax, things like that in other states. So you literally just need to establish your business where you live. Cool. Awesome. Oh, this is such a good question. How do you get the confidence to reach out to friends and family about your new VA ventures? I think it'd be a good way for me to get started, but I have no confidence in it. I totally get that. It can be incredibly scary to do anything, right? To announce something new, but you've got to think about it this way. Like you're reaching out to the people who already support you. And what's so cool about reaching out to friends and family is that for the most part, you're usually not trying to convince them to buy anything from you. And that's one of my favorite things about virtual assistants is that you don't have to sell to your friends and family. Now, if they're a business owner, then, it's actually a cool opportunity that you could potentially help them in their business. But most of our friends and family aren't business owners. So one of the best things that you can do is to reach out to them and tell them what you're doing. I would recommend getting our swag bag inside of our swag bag. And I can just show you real quick. So on the virtualsavvy.com/swag, you can just go to Virtual Savvy and click this swag button. We have, the personal outreach template right here. So I would recommend downloading this, and it is a template, okay? And this can be a template for sending out emails to your friends. This can be for, to help guide your conversation. So that if we're getting practical, I would download this, okay? That's going to really help you. But beyond that, there's also obviously the emotional side of things. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm feeling myself gripped with fear about something, because it happens, is that I will literally just get a piece of paper. I'd grab my notebook, but there's like a ton of stuff on it right now. But you grab a piece of paper and essentially you write like a line down the middle, right? And you just use the one side to start just writing out your fears, right? And this is kind of your like fear reality check is what you're doing. And so just write out all the fears, and it's okay, as ridiculous as they may be, just like what am I actually afraid of? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Right? And why are you scared of that? about reaching out to your friends and family? Do you think they're going to laugh at you, make fun of you, reject you, any of those things, right? Put them all down. As crazy as they may seem, right? Like whatever your fear may be. And then you draw a line, right? And then what you do is you draw an arrow, and then there's reality. And then because here's the thing. Some of our fears, like they are actually valid. Like you may reach out to a friend or family member, and they may actually say like, well, that's a dumb idea. Like, why are you doing that? Like, let's not be naive and say that like everyone's always going to be the most encouraging, supportive group in the planet, you know? Now, some of you guys are like, oh my gosh, my family would never say that. Well, then why are you so scared, right? Like what is the thing that you're actually scared of, and what's reality? What is actually going to happen? But for some of you, it may be like, reality may be that your family might not support you, or your friends might not support you, or certain individuals may not support you, right? So then I always ask myself like, okay, well, then what, right? Then what? And keep kind of going down that rabbit hole. And for me, most of the time, like when I actually follow my fears and use logic and reason and look at them, I'm like, okay, this really isn't that bad, right? Like if I have one friend that's going to laugh in my face and reject me or say that this idea is dumb, I'm going to have 10 friends who support me and love me and encourage me in this. So like when I can look at that, it's like, okay, the reality, here's my fears, but here's the reality, and the reality of this isn't that bad, and I can face that. I think that facing the reality is a lot of times just that why. Also, like, why are you doing this? And your why has to outweigh your fear. Your motivation has to outweigh your fear. So I think there's an element of that, but there's also just a reality check sometimes. Sometimes when I write out my fears and I look at them, I'm like, oh, that's really not that bad. I was just feeling it all internally, but when I put it on paper, it's like actually not that bad. So hopefully that's helpful. That's the way I do that. I'm a big like journaler. Like my emotions and my thoughts get all stuck in my head. But then when I write them out, it's like, oh, that's what I was feeling. Okay. I see you, emotions. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. When starting out, okay, hello, Satora. I'm in Greensboro. When starting out and just starting the system, when making proposals, can we send our flyer like a letter? Is that good enough? Okay, so what I would suggest, there's passive marketing and there's active marketing, right? A flyer could totally work, but what active marketing is, as opposed to passive marketing, is making connections, right? It's relationships. And that's where you're going to find your first clients the quickest and the easiest, is by making actual personal connections with people. So passive marketing would be like doing mass flyers, posting a bunch of stuff on your Instagram or your Facebook. You're kind of like putting stuff out and hoping. That's advertising, right? That's like hoping that people will come to you because of all the things that you're putting out. It's not entirely ineffective, but what's so cool is that one of the best things that you can do is just form relationships. And you don't need hundreds of people to say yes to your services. Most VAs have between 4 and 7 clients to be fully booked, right? So that means you need 4 people to say yes. So how many one-on-one connections do you need to make to get 4 people to say yes? And for some of you guys, you literally come up with a chart. It's like, all right, I'm going to reach out to 10 people, because if I reach out to 10 people, I'll get 1 discovery call. And after 5 discovery calls, I will land 1/5 of my discovery calls, or whatever it is, right? And you can start to even like track your numbers over time and be like, okay, well, I know if I want this output, I just need to put this input in, right? And but it does come back to relationship building. And so even if you're doing something like Instagram, so we teach in the Savvy system, which is the course we're launching right now, we teach you how to use Instagram for your business, but it's not like the post 3 times a day and do 100 stories and it's not like how to build an Instagram social, like how to build more followers on Instagram. That's not what we teach. We teach you how to build relationships through a platform like Instagram or Facebook groups or whatever it is. So that's just going to be so much more effective, in my opinion. Good question. Um, where do we find the webinar? So yes, we are doing this webinar tomorrow. It's the virtualsavvy.com/encore. And I'm going to be sharing some of my best marketing tips inside of that training. So you'll definitely want to be there live. We're doing an 11 a.m. and an 8 p.m. Central Time webinar. Let's see here. What else do we have? You guys have so many good questions. So hopefully, I know I'm going to miss some and I apologize in advance. I like scroll through and just try to grab the ones that I see. Good app to keep track of your time. So we have this awesome, if you go to YouTube and go to my channel, it's youtube.com/Abby Ashley. You'll see this like top 50 tools for your virtual assistant business. It's a really awesome where I tell you like all the tools that you could be using in your business. For time tracking individually, if you're just looking for just a time tracking app, I would just check out Toggl, Toggl. It's just a really simple system. It's free. And I like that it does reports too. So you could literally like download a PDF report to send to your client. Now there's other systems that have time tracking in them. I think Honeybook and Dubsado both have time tracking features. And so you could look at that if you're wanting like a more all-in-one project management system. I just started Savvy System. I couldn't stop reading. My question is, where do we have VA job postings on your website? Okay. So Melissa, if you are a part of the Savvy System, you get exclusive job opportunities. So you get job opportunities that you're not going to find anywhere else. So in the marketing section, if you're just at the beginning of the course, you're probably not to the marketing section yet, which is okay. Just take one step at a time. But those job opportunities are posted in our Facebook group. So you'll need to make sure that you're a part of the Facebook group in order to access those exclusive job opportunities, but they're being posted all the time. And if you need any more support, then you can email support@thevirtualsavvy.com. Okay. Awesome. But welcome to the course. You're going to love it. All right. When applying, Audra says, when applying for a job op and you're currently working your full-time job, how do you note this on your application? And best way to discuss with the hiring manager. Okay. So I'm just going to give you my opinion. Take it or leave it. Okay. Sometimes I have unpopular opinions. But let me start off by saying this. As a virtual assistant, you are an independent contractor. That means that you set your own terms, you set your own rate, you set your hours for working, you say, this is how I work. At no point can a client say, I need you to available from 3 to 5 Monday through Friday. That is an employer relationship. Do not let them do that. That is not legal. Okay. They're treating you like an employee. You are an independent contractor. So when you're going into jobs, like the job opportunities that we see listed on the website, I think that getting a good scope for about how many hours they're needing is great. What are their expectations as far as how much time on a week-to-week basis this could potentially take, especially if it's something they've already been doing, right? It's good for you to have that knowledge, but you don't need to tell them that you're working a full-time job. I mean, because at the end of the day, and here's why, this is not because I don't want you to be transparent or that I want you to like keep secrets from your clients. It's not that. Here's the important thing, right? It's irrelevant if you're getting the job done, right? They're hiring you to get a job done. They're hiring you to get certain results or to get a certain amount of hours in a week. They're hiring you to get the job done. So as long as you can communicate well and get the job done, it doesn't matter when you do it, right? Am I right? So in my opinion, now if you need to say, hey, meetings, I'm available for meetings. If we need to meet one-on-one, I'm available from this time to this time on these days. You can say that, right? And let them know the days and times you're available. And if those are in the afternoons or in the evenings, then that is what it is. And they can take it or leave it. But you don't have to come out and be like, hey, so I have a full-time job and I'm going to be balancing you with that, but I promise I'm going to take care of you. And it's just not necessary. As long as you can get the work done, that is what you're selling and that is what they're buying, right? So that's my 2 cents on that. How can you make a sales pitch without making it a sales pitch? I love it. Oh, such a great question. I think that so much of us just fear being salesy. We really do. Like sales seems icky. It's like anytime that we're trying to promote ourselves, we feel like we're just another one of those like bro marketers or like I'm like a used car salesman, saleswoman, right? Like like it just, oh, it's super uncomfortable to try to sell yourself. So that's why I think the best thing is to not to try to sell yourself necessarily, be a problem solver, right? Be a relationship builder and a problem solver. And if you can do those two things really, really well, sales will happen. Okay. So when you're talking to somebody about their business, do more listening than you do talking, right? Ask good questions. If you can master the art, and that's so like in our savvy system, we have a template for you to follow for discovery calls, right? And we teach you this is how you do really great discovery calls. And spoiler alert, most of it is just asking really good questions. And you start out by asking questions and just connecting with them individually, right? Identifying their pain points. And then it's just like, okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to share with you what I offer. And then we can see if it's a good fit, right? So again, it's not selling, it's here's your pain point, here's the solution I offer. Do you feel like it's a good fit? And now they may have different objections because they're scared too, right? Don't ever feel like you're the only one scared in this process because your clients are scared too, especially if it's like you're one of the first people that they've hired. So we have like a document for how to handle different objections, like, oh, I need to think about it, or it's too expensive, or whatever their objection may be. We have like different ways that you can face those objections. But sometimes it doesn't work out. And I think that that's fine too. Sometimes their pain point and your solution aren't a good fit, right? Or it's not going to be a good personality fit or whatever. And you have to be okay with that. It's not anything personal. It's just, nope, this isn't going to work. And then you move on and you keep going. So that would be my advice. Let's see. If you start by paying monthly, can later repay more to get it paid off faster. So yeah, the Satora is referencing our course, the Savvy System, which has a payment plan. It's $97 a month for 13 months, and you can pay that off early. Okay. So we can definitely facilitate that if that is something which a lot of our students end up doing. They do the $97 a month because they're like, that's all I can afford. But then they start getting clients so quickly and they're like, whoop, I'm just going to pay that off. So I'm not having to do the monthly fee. Let's see here. Good question here, Jesse. Hi, Abby. Hello. Is it better to lower your prices when first starting to get your first client, or is it better to just stick it out until you get your first client who's willing to pay you what you know you deserve to be paid? Oh my gosh, right? Like this is the question. Okay, so you guys are going to hate me. All of my questions are like, it depends. Because I really do think that it depends. There's some things that are super important. I want you to be able to feed your families, and I want you to be able to, not have bills that are overdue. And let's just be real. Like there are times in our lives where you're like, I just need to make some money and I need to make some money ASAP. So if somebody's going to pay me $12 an hour when my rate is 25, I'm just going to take it because I need the job. And I'm not going to be the person that sits up here and like judges you for that or says like, you shouldn't do that. Always know your worth. Charge 4 times what your rate is. Da, 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 da. Do I believe that you should charge your worth? Yes. Do I want you to hold out? Yes, absolutely. But the reality is sometimes like when the rubber meets the road, like you just got to pay your bills, right? And I'm saying this because I've been there, right? Like we were living in a basement apartment, one income in a super expensive place to live. And I was just like, they're paying me something, right? I'm not a fan of working for free. I'm really not a fan of working for free. You will find that the people who want you to work for free are like your most difficult clients. They take up way more time and usually communicate worse and are I've rarely found like my dream client to be somebody that wanted to not pay me. So try not to work for free. I would say yes, as much as possible, like charge your rate, but and stick to your rate. But if you're at a point where you're like, I, I just want to get some experience under my belt. I really just need to get some money. And this is an opportunity. It's going to be a couple $100s a month. And that could really do some things for me and my family. Do it. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Um, How do you get past a job opportunity that only wants experienced VAs? That is a great question, Linda. And that's one of the things, that we teach inside of our program is showing value first. Our value first methodology shows that you are the type of person that goes above and beyond. And I have seen a ton of times, not always, but I've seen a ton of times that our students who have never worked with a virtual assistant client, but they do our value first methodology, that they will get hired above people with more experience. It happens all the time. So I think it's the ability to like, can you go above and beyond? Can you like make yourself stand out? Can you spend 3 times as much time as that person who maybe has a full, almost a full client roster? You have more times to just do a freaking amazing proposal, right? Blow their socks off. Will you have to do that forever? No. Like you talk to people who have been a VA for 2 or 3 years, and you're like, how do you get your clients? Referrals. Like they all say referrals, and because they've mastered the art of doing these really amazing high value proposals, and it's always in their back pocket if they do need another client. But what's so cool is that they don't usually even have to do that anymore because the right clients are now coming to them. Word of mouth is getting out, right? So even if you're spending like 2 or 3 hours on a proposal and you're like, this is ridiculous, like you're not going to have to do it forever. Okay. So I'm a huge fan of doing value first in your proposals to help yourself stand out. Awesome. I keep hearing that I need to find a niche. I'm not sure how to do that. I offer I offer virtual office services such as answering phones, Google management, typing documents, basically everything a secretary does, but from home. How do I niche down? I would ask this, like, do you have to niche down? Like, are you finding clients? Because if you're finding clients, then you don't have to niche down, right? I know people that they never niche down. They offer general admin and then they just build a big old team of general admin and freaking kill it, right? So like, I think that you have to niche is not true. What you have to do is do what's right for your business and decide your business model and the type of client you want to work with. And so that could be niching down to a service, or it could be niching down to an industry, or it could just be like a certain type of client, right? And I really like working with these type of clients, so I'm going to try to get more clients like this. We actually teach everyone, unless if you already have a specific skill, just start with general admin, because the best way to know, like, I love when people niche down. Don't get me wrong. I love it when I see our VAs say, you know what, I've decided I'm only going to work with wedding professionals because I love that industry. Like I love those clients. Or I've decided I'm only going to do Dubsado setup because I love setting people up on Dubsado, right? And so I love seeing when people find something they enjoy doing and go all in, because you can charge more and it's a little bit easier to find clients when you're really, really, really niche down. Or let's say it's easier to find really like good clients when you're niche down and you know exactly what you're looking for. But how do you know that unless if you've worked with clients? So I think my methodology is, unless if you have like a tie to a specific industry, or you already have, you're like, Abby, I build Squarespace websites in my sleep. Okay, then go build Squarespace websites. You don't need to mess with general admin, right? But like, in my opinion, start with general admin, work with tons of different clients, all types of different people, and then start to discover, these are the people I like working people. These are the type of people I don't like working with, right? And then niche down from there. Such good questions, you guys. This is fun. What's the best invoice and payment systems? So it's up to you, but some of the ones that we love when you're first starting out, Wave Apps is awesome. It's just invoicing, but it'll send like reminders to your clients if they have unpaid invoices. I know that A ton of our students use Dubsado or HoneyBook, and we're really big fans of those two services as well. And they are more than just invoicing. You can like send proposals, you can keep track of clients. There's a lot inside of them. I love Dubsado because you can do your first 3 clients for free. I think that that's really, really cool. So you're not paying for the service until you actually have, your 4th paying client, which is amazing. So yeah, big Dubsado fans here. But HoneyBook, Wave apps, those are really, really good, and a ton of our students use those as well. Let's see. Okay, I think I answered some of these. Great question. When people say general admin, what are they actually doing and how are they selecting packages? So we have something on our site. If you go to thevirtualsavvy.com, one of our blogs right on the site is 101 services you can offer as a VA. And I would recommend going through that. And there's even a category that's like general admin. And so some of the things that are listed under there would be tasks that you would think like, what would a secretary do, right? What would an admin just at like a brick and mortar business potentially do? And that could be tasks like customer service emails, answering phones. Somebody said that they do. I hated that service. That was never something I did because I had like kids crying in the background. I was like, I can't answer phones. I'm sorry. Or like appointment setting phone calls. But calendar management, invoicing, research, travel booking. Usually those are considered general admin tasks. Maybe some like data entry, spreadsheets, things like that would be considered general admin. And usually general admin, you will price just by the hour. There are other ways to price general admin, but it can get a little difficult. So I would recommend just starting off with like 20, 40, 60 hours a month, right? So 20 hours a month is about 5 hours a week, which is a good amount that you could be doing. So if you're doing $30 an hour, that would be a $600 a month package would be your smallest package, right? And then if somebody books it, you're working for them 5 hours a week and doing those general admin tasks, keeping track of your time in something like Toggle, that one of those time tracking tools we asked or that we mentioned earlier. Hi, Melissa again from Idaho. I love Boise. Like surprising. I went to a conference in Boise and I was like, I'm going to Boise, Idaho. Okay, brand new place for me. It's such a cool city. And like Boise is beautiful, or like Idaho is beautiful because we even traveled out and oh my gosh, you live in a beautiful place. Okay. My question is a client wants us to answer phones. What's the process? So they may have a process already and they may have a system that they already use for answering phones. So that would be first is to find out if they already have a system. Most of the time, what we just do is a Google Voice. You can set up a free Google Voice number, and then that way it can just be sent to your regular phone. Okay. And so you don't have to have a headset or anything for that. Again, unless your client may already have some other system that they're using that they want you to use. Maybe they want you to use a headset. But whenever I did like appointment setting phone calls for my clients, I just had a separate Google Voice number and I would make my calls through there. And then that way, if there was an incoming call, I could see like, okay, I know that it's, like I could have a separate voicemail and things like that. So that's my personal preference. There are other services like Google Voice out there, but that was the one that I always personally used. So many good questions. It skipped down. Okay. Oh, yay, look at this. I just got my first 2 clients. What should my next steps be? So awesome. So you need a good onboarding system, right? You need a way to say, here's how we're going to work. So I hope you signed a contract with them. Always, 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 always have a contract. Always have a contract. So I hope you signed a contract with them and then you want to onboard them. So that is the process of getting with them and this is saying, this is how we're going to work together. Let's have meetings once a week. Once a week, I'm going to send you this form and you fill this out. Or, here's how we're going to, any passwords I need. what are the things, what are the best practices? Do you have any SOPs in your business that I need to know about, right? And so it's just that initial kind of kickoff of like, here's all the data I need, here's all the information I need from you, and here's how we're going to work going forward, okay? If you want a step-by-step system, we did create one. It's thevirtualsavvy.com/store. We have an onboarding packet there. Do we have our onboarding packet there? Now I'm wondering, do we, is it in the store? It's not in the store. We need to put it in the store. My team can link to it below. We have an onboarding system. It's like $27. It's super cheap. It's worth it. Or we also teach you how to onboard in the Savvy system. That's another option. We have a blog post too about it. So my team can put some of those links in the comments. Janine says, to piggyback off of Jesse's question, if you begin with a client at a lower rate, you hone your skill with them, at what point would you have the talk of raising your rates? Oh, such a good question. So I love the fact that you're thinking about raising your rates. I think that is important. We should all raise our rates. I suggest that you raise your rates with each new client that you sign for the new clients. Okay. So client one, let's say I get client one at $25 an hour. Client two, I want to sign at $27 an hour or $30 an hour. Right. And I'm still working with client one. Client three, I'm going to sign for $32 an hour, right? So I want you to raise your rate with each new client until you get to a point that you're comfortable. You're not going to go charging like $500 an hour for general admin skills, right? So there is this kind of like barrier of like, okay, I think I'm good now as far as like raising your rates. And we can talk later about that if we want, about like what is that threshold. But you want to raise your rates until you're like with each new client. But does that mean that like I sign a client at $20 an hour and the next week I sign one at 25, so I need to raise this one up to 25? I would say no. The first thing is you need to check your contract, right? In your contract, does it say that you're locked in at a certain price for a certain amount of time? Make sure that you know what your contract says. The second thing, my advice would be, I'm a big fan of raising your rates, even with current clients, but you have to realize anytime you raise your rates, guys, and this is just the reality, fear versus reality, right? If you're doing your spreadsheet, I'm scared of raising my rates. What's reality? Reality is your clients may not follow you to your next rate package. Like that is reality. So whenever you raise rates with a current client, you always 100% of the time you risk losing that client. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? No. Does it mean if you're counting on that money to like provide for your family and you won't eat unless you have that, you know what I mean? Like there's like kind of a risk analysis that you always have to do, but I think you should raise your rates. So I recommend doing it once you've been working with a client 3 to 6 months, somewhere in there in your comfort level, being like, okay, I've already raised all these other clients. If I lost this client, I'd still be fine, either because I have other clients that are, giving me money. 2, because I don't actually need, if you're not like the main breadwinner for your house or whatever, then it's like, I don't actually have to have this money. Or 3, I've just gotten so freaking good at marketing that I know if I lose this client, I can get another one, right? So there's like kind of a bunch of things that you have to factor in of like, okay, am I ready to raise my rates with this client? None of those things should stop you. I do want you to raise your rates with your current clients. But I've been on the receiving end even of somebody raising their rates with me, and they did it like really quickly, like a month after working with me, and they jumped up to like 4 times as much. And I literally, on the client's end, I was like, so you're basically saying you don't want to work with me anymore. That's how it felt, right? And so, which it was fine. Like if that was their new rate and that was their new threshold, and they knew they could get clients at that rate, then they shouldn't have been working with me at the time, right? Like this was years and years ago. So I think it all just depends. Hopefully that was more clear than not clear, because I feel like I was a little all over the place. But yes, 3 to 6 months is usually when I think is a good time to be like, hey, raising rates. All right. Awesome. How do you build a portfolio? Christina asks, if you're new and don't have clients yet. So you can definitely build a portfolio even if you haven't worked with clients yet. Okay. So here are the main features of a portfolio. You want to have a cover page. Yes. Just pretty picture and your logo. Awesome. Check. Number 2, you want to have an intro letter. So give some personality, tell about yourself, about where you live, why you're experienced, about your family, something fun, a personal picture on page 2, right? On page 3, you want to actually list out your services. Even if you've never worked with a client before, you still have a list of services, right? Yes, done. List those out. 4 would be examples of your work. Now, this one can get a little tricky if you've never worked with clients before, but what are the services that you're offering? Could you create, if you're going to be a Pinterest manager, but you've never actually done Pinterest management before, but you've taken a class, but you haven't I took my Savvy Vault course and this is what I want to offer, but I don't actually have a client yet. Okay, well then come up with some pins for like a fake business, right? Again, and these are just examples of the type of work that you can do. If you're doing customer service emails, write like a couple really well-worded emails of the type of emails you would be writing for clients, or write out what your process is for, for customer service, right? So do an example of this is how I would work. Okay. So that is, I forget what we were on, 4, 5, whatever. Next would be testimonials. So testimonials, as soon as you can grab those from your clients, get those. If you don't have testimonials from clients yet, could you ask 2 or 3 people to give you testimonials of just your work ethic, of your character, right? Character testimonials, I think, are great at the very beginning. Abby Ashley is amazing. She's such a hard worker. Like, I would trust her with anything, written by my best friend, right? And I mean, you don't have to put the title or their business name, just put their name. And again, I want you to be transparent. Like if your client is like, who's this testimonial from? You can say, oh, actually that was from my previous coworker. She worked, she ended up going on to be a manager of blah, 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 blah. Like you can say that it's a character testimonial, right? It's not like I hired this person for 20 hours a week and they did XYZ for me. So yep. So, and then you want to do your prices. Okay. So we're on page, 6? I don't know. I lost track. So you want to do your pricing, which again, you can do even if you've never had clients. And then the last page of your portfolio should be their next steps. How do they hire you? Do they book a call? Do they email you? Do they, whatever they do, that should be on the final page of your portfolio. Okay. Let's see. After going through Vault training for a skill, could we then start that as a niche? Yes, that's what so many of our students do. They'll go into the Vault, which is, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it's called Savvy Vault, and it's our tech training membership. We have over 50 tech trainings. So we have how to be a Pinterest VA, how to be a real estate VA, how to be, a podcast manager or whatever it may be. And so you could go through that and then make that your new niche for sure. One of the things we want to add eventually is like examples of pricing too, like pricing and packages for each of those services. So that's one of the things I'd love to have in the Vault soon. Let's see here. How do you schedule for your clients when they want you to answer customer calls? Is it okay not to be available 9 to 5? Okay, I would I would just really think hard about agreeing to answer customer calls, honestly. If you work a full-time job, I didn't work a full-time job and I hated answering customer calls. Not saying it's not possible, right? I think that if your client is wanting you to be on call, that needs to cost a pretty little penny, in my opinion, because you're at a birthday party, you're at you're going to answer the phone for somebody. So, that's why I did for a while appointment setting phone calls. So I would do outgoing calls. And if you are somebody, you're like, hey, I live alone, or I don't have small kids, or I have it's friggin' COVID. So I'm just home all day anyways. And my client really wants me to do this. I want to get the experience, go for it. But I would if you're working a 9 to 5, I would probably discourage doing phone calls unless if they're okay with you only doing that in the evenings. And you can just be honest about that. What about offering services for free in exchange for experience and testimonials? You can do it. I don't advise it. I think working for free, just like there's something really big that happens when you get paid to work for your skills. Like, I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, anybody, let me know in the comments. Like, if you've signed a first client before, even if it is like half of your rate, but you sign somebody and you're like, somebody's paying me money. Somebody's paying me actual cash dollar bills to like do this from home in my pajama. Like, it's really, really, really freeing. And by getting somebody to sign your services for free, you haven't really validated that somebody's willing to pay you for your services. You've validated that somebody's willing to pay you $0 for your services, right? So like, and usually those people aren't the best people to work for. So I would rather you like even majorly discount your services than working for free. And I'm not even a huge fan of majorly discounting your services, but it's just, I just don't love working for free. Do it if you want. Tons of people have done it. And then they're like, they ended up being my best client. They pay me now. They blah, blah. And good. That's awesome. It never worked for me. That's just my personal opinion. What about healthcare for your BA business? Very good question. So there's a couple of options. I'm only going to speak to U.S. U.S. Individuals right now because I live in the U.S. and I don't know all of the healthcare requirements in other places. One of the things we do in the course is we show you not just like, here's what you should do for healthcare, but we give you the resources to find what you need to know. So there's a couple of different options. Obviously, we have a ton of people that their spouse, they can just be on their insurance still and it ends up working out fine. Cool. For other people, you need to look into things like healthcare.gov, right? For some people, that ends up being really cost effective. I think for my family, it was going to be like $5,000 a month or something crazy. Like that didn't work out for us. There's also health sharing. So for a long time, my family and I did what's called Liberty Health Share, and it's a health sharing program. There's also different like freelancer unions that have started coming together to do like group healthcare plans. There's definitely different options. I would just compare the different options and see which one works best for you and your unique situation, because everybody's different, right? Some people are, solopreneurs. Some people have past medical histories. Some people have big families that they're trying to support. Some people are like, I'm on my spouse's insurance, so it's fine. So it kind of just depends on your specific situation. Good question. Kim's one of our Savvy Systems students. Do you have specific ideas or resources for getting better at video? I've learned that if I'm really going to level up in the ways I'm envisioning, I need to practice and get better at seeing myself on screen. Definitely translate to sending potential clients amazing videos too. I think that a couple things is practice, number one. So I did speech and debate in high school. I was a speech geek and it was torture because what we would do is we would have to get up and we'd have to give our speech. So what is that? Number one, that's practice, right? So you have to practice. You just have to do it. Number two, get feedback from others. And so like actually send some videos or do a live stream or whatever and send it to people who will give you honest feedback. Okay. And like say, please, like you can praise me, whatever, but like give me 3 things I could do better. Right. If you really want to get better. And number 3, and this is the worst one. This was my least favorite. When I was in high school, I literally, I still have this banner up. When I was in high school, I hated this so much because my speech coach, we would get up and I would do the speech. He would give us feedback. So practice, feedback, but he would also record it. And then I would have to go back and watch it. Oh, I hated it. I hated it. But you think other people aren't critical enough. They're like, nobody's giving me good feedback. Well, just watch yourself. If you're anything like me, I'll be like, well, I'm doing that differently, right? So that would be my recommendation is to, go back, do your live stream and then watch yourself and then note the things that you're going to do differently next time and just keep on practicing. That's my recommendation for sure. Going in with a plan too, I think is really important. I am much better with an outline or with a plan than if I'm just off the cuff. And I think knowing what are some of the things that make you more comfortable. Like I am much more like if my husband was sitting in this room right now, I would be like, ha, ha, and I don't know why. Like I mean, like he knows me, he's seen me live, he watches my videos from places, but for some reason having somebody else in the room is always like, so you'll notice like pretty much it's always just me in here by myself because I'm not one of these people that can just like walk down the streets of like, let me walk down the streets in the middle of town with people around me and talk to my phone and go live and tell you all this. I'm like, I can't do that, right? And if I stretched myself, if I practiced, I probably could, right? But so I think just starting with like what does make you more comfortable, like put on some freaking amazing lipstick if that makes you feel more powerful or whatever it is, right? But those would be some of my recommendations. Oh, yay, Julia. I'm loving the Savvy system. That makes me so happy. You guys are absolutely killing it. And I know there's so many questions here that I'm not going to get a chance to answer. So definitely go and post those in our VA Savvies group. Okay. Because that group is like the most supportive group on the planet and they will answer your questions. Okay, sorry. Can we please talk about the threshold for what to charge? Sure, Brittany. So, okay. There is, I was like, we'll talk about this later. And now I'm like, okay, that means I actually have to talk about it. It's not a written rule, right? It's not a written rule that like thou shall not pay over 50 or charge over $50 per hour for general admin services, right? I mean, if you think about it this way, like you're answering customer service emails and that's a skill of writing. So you have the skill of writing and you might be charging $20 an hour for that, where my friend charges people $10,000 to write their book for them. Okay. So I do want us to start thinking in the mindset that I don't need to just believe that my skills are lower level skills. Because like I said, if you can learn the skill of copywriting or how to write books or how like there's so much that you could do with something that you're like, I just started out writing customer service emails, right? I started out doing social media graphics and now I'm doing like branding packages for $10,000 a pop, right? Like, I mean, literally a lot of these things, the skill is the same, but how you package it ends up, you're able to charge more. And I think the clientele that you're going after also can depend on, that you could charge more. I know people that they will build you a website for $300. I know people that they will build you a website for $20,000, right? What's the difference? Well, there's probably a lot of difference, right? The $20,000 probably has experience, testimonials, their own signature system. They probably have results. They probably have, and they're most likely working with a much higher tiered audience. So make that your goal, right? To get to that point. I want to get that experience. I want to get that, those testimonials. And then, shoot, why can't you be charging $100,000 for these, for a website or whatever it may be, right? I mean, there isn't necessarily a limit. But if you think about like, I'm answering phones, answering email, doing invoicing, general admin, I have generally seen, if you're doing hourly packages, that starts to top out at like $40 an hour US. But that's not a rule, right? I'm sure there's some of our VAs that are doing general admin for like 45 or 50, or they've geared themselves more to package-based pricing. So they're still doing the same work, but they're getting paid more because it's taking them less time and they're doing package bases, right? Or they've gone into online business management, which is less of like general admin. It's some of the same administrative skills, but now they're doing it at a higher level and they're managing people and they're coming up with systems and operations and things like that, right? And then they're like, well, now I don't have to be limited by $40 an hour. Now I can charge 50, 60, 70, 100, whatever, dollars an hour. And a lot of times as you increase that dollar an hour, it's people transitioning to higher end packages. So an example of a high end package would be Pinterest management, right? When you hire a Pinterest manager, generally you're not saying, hey, I want you to come and do Pinterest management 5 hours a week in my business, and I'm going to charge you this much hourly. Generally what you're doing, if you hire a Pinterest manager, saying, okay, I want you to manage my Pinterest. I want you to get these results. and I'm going to pay you $500 a month to do that, right? So it may only take them 10 hours a month to do the service, so they're making $50 an hour, right? So, I think I do think there's a threshold. I think it's not very clear. If we're talking general admin, I would say it's probably an general admin with no extra operations or online business management or learning how to manage or systems and things like that. If you're just talking strict virtual assistants, I would say it's about that $40 an hour range US. That's personal opinion though. Not a rule at all. Okay, you guys, I do have to jump off here soon, but I want to see if there's any other questions that I can answer. Oh, here are a ton of people. Don't work for free. Don't work for free. Don't work for free. Take it from other people. Just don't do it. Can you talk more about finding your first client and becoming insecure and losing my momentum? So I do have to jump off here, but that's literally what we're going over tomorrow. So if you go to thevirtualsavvy.com/encore, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a full 60-minute webinar all about pricing, packaging, choosing your services, and marketing. So I'll show you my top 3 places for finding paying clients, and then kind of give you the blueprint of how to get started, how to get momentum. So that's going to be a really amazing webinar. It's tomorrow. You do have to be there live. There will not be replays. It's at 11 a.m. or 8 p.m. Central Time. I would love to see you guys there. It's going to be a really fun time. So make sure that you join that webinar training with me tomorrow. Oh, yay. Jennifer says, the Savvy Group's amazing. They've helped me along my journey. I love it. All right, guys. Someone is asking about the Savvy system. It's $9.97 in installments. Or yeah, we have installments. How much time do we have to enroll? So the Savvy system is, the Savvy system is open currently. It's our signature training program for virtual assistants, and it closes this Friday. So this Friday, the 5th at 10 p.m. Central Time, we will close the doors. We will not do another public launch until July. In July, the price will go up as well. So this is literally the last time to get the Savvy system in its current pricing. We have not raised prices ever since I launched the course back in 2016. So we're excited. We're excited to be able to, we have 16 full-time staff members now because we're growing this team to support you guys, to be able to help you reach your business goals. And so I feel really, really good about the content that's in the course, lifetime access. And so we're definitely due a price increase. So if you want to snag it at the current price, this is the time to do so before this Friday. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much again. I will see you at the Encore webinar that is happening tomorrow. So come hang out with me some more. I will do some more live Q&A at the end. If you guys didn't get your questions answered live, I will answer them then. And yeah, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.